It's been a long time coming, but it's finally on the way. The Panther Clipper has been announced, and yeah, this is likely one of the most anticipated ships ever in Elite Dangerous history. And just take a look at that ship. It's little wonder so many people have been interested in it. So for now, this is a work in progress. It's not the final version of the ship, but I'd imagine it's very, very close to what we can expect to see. As you can tell then, no full-on release date just yet, but a release window of the summer. We're going to cycle through a few images that we've got of the ship as well. Again, these are work in progress. So yeah, a very, very large looking ship. This is a large ship. I don't think it's massively bigger than what we've got in the game in terms of the Anaconda or the other ships, but it's certainly on that type of scale. Obviously, it's still going to need to fit onto the larger landing pads. It's going to need to get through the docking hatch on the starports. What you're seeing here with these other images, this is the bridge. Frontier not showing off the 3D model just yet, so we've got to look at these concept images, this work in progress videos. Now, the fact it's got a bridge, Arthur, the community manager for Elite, for Frontier, has said that well, we shouldn't read too much into that, because whilst they're calling it a bridge, that is purely down to its scale. The implication there, of course, is that it doesn't suggest that we're getting ship interiors. Of course, this image here also gives us an indication of scale. You can see some commanders down there on the floor, along with a vehicle as well. So we're going to take a bit of a closer look at some of these images then, just to pick up on a few details. Now, as you can see from the front of the ship, we do have 4 engine blocks. These engine blocks pivot as the ship comes in for landing. They will face down, and then from out of the ship will extend the landing gear as well. From the hull of the ship, on the hull of the ship, we can see a lot of panel lines. Now, these are an artistic design, and they're put in there to convey the sense of scale. Something that I do feel was slightly missing from earlier ships, such as the Anaconda. This really does convey the sense of size much easier, much more cleanly. The bridge we've already touched on, so this isn't just going to be a regular sized cockpit, this is going to be a much larger. When it comes to the engines themselves, unlike the Anaconda, which has a couple of really large engines at the back, this has got a cluster of engines. Smaller engines all clustered together really do help convey the ultimate size of the ship. And I've got to say, they've done a fantastic job with the landing gears there as well, because this really does add to the ship's immensity. Now, it's also worth pointing out that this isn't the standard Panther Clipper that we've had in the previous Elite games, such as Frontier Elite 2. This instead is actually the Panther Clipper Mk2, following in the same footsteps as other recent ships that Frontier have released, such as the Cobra Mark 5. I also think it's worth pointing out and bringing up some of the older concept images that Frontier had. This one in particular does share a lot of similarities with what we've just seen. So yeah, Frontier have been working on the ship design for a long time and only really got around to releasing it. I guess it's been held up for a lot of different reasons. And right there we can see the original Panther Clipper back in Elite 2. And again, sharing a lot of similarities. Unfortunately, we haven't got any technical details about the ship just yet, so we don't know its cargo capacity. Obviously, I'd be very surprised if this doesn't actually hold the most cargo out of any ship in the entire game, and hopefully by a significant margin. So yeah, we don't know any other stats about the ship either, so no stats whatsoever at this point. But the one thing we do know is that Frontier have confirmed this will be a very slow ship. In other words, it's going to feel like a massive cargo vessel, meaning it's likely to be extremely slow and very difficult to maneuver. At the end of the day then, this really does feel like a kind of culmination of all the ships that Frontier have released over the past, year or so, maybe a little bit more. We initially started off with the Panther Mk2, a very familiar ship. Frontier at that point said they're not releasing new ships, just reimagined versions of ships that are already in the game. But it turned out that changed pretty quickly. The follow-up ship to that was the Type 8, obviously a brand new ship. And that's led down a pathway to ultimately revealing the Panther Clipper Mk2. So I'd be very, very surprised if this doesn't ultimately turn out to be an extremely popular ship. Obviously, it seems likely this is going to follow the same format that Frontier have done with recently released ships. So in other words, they go to the ARX store. We're going to have to buy them with real-world cash effectively. They'll be there for a relatively short window, a few months, before finally making their way into the game, where you can buy them from in-game credits. That's how things have worked so far. Frontier haven't confirmed that's going to work like that with the Panther Clipper, but at this point it seems pretty obvious, pretty likely that's exactly what's going to happen. And the final detail here, the final note, is that whilst we don't have a release date, the Panther Clipper Mk2 is going to release alongside the summer update, which is the one called Vanguards. So not only is a brand new ship on the way, a massive one, but also a truly huge update is incoming as well. And hopefully we can see that in the next few months. Looking forward to seeing more. At any rate, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, I hope you like seeing the Panther Clipper actually. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time, and do take care.